Have you ever seen a person pull off remarkable wins while barely seeming to try? They don't sprint around broadcasting urgency or exhaust themselves chasing validation. They study the field, conserve strength, and act with surgical clarity at the moment of maximum leverage. Then, as if by fate, pieces align in their favor. It can feel maddening when you're sweating every hour while they glide past on quiet timing and focused nerve. To grasp how restraint and psychological timing amplify power, subscribe to Dark Psychology Decoded to uncover the principles that turn minimal action into maximum impact. Now picture yourself possessing that discipline. Imagine shifting from friction and grind to calm calculation, from force to precision. That is where the real contest starts. When you stop equating effort with victory and begin playing for position, patterns appear that others miss. Those who brag about outworking you suddenly realize the game was never about volume. It was about vision. As Machiavelli would put it, the prudent act swiftly while the foolish delay, and timing is the hinge upon which fortune turns. Consider what this implies. While the crowd burns out chasing quick hits, you ready the one strike that renders their frenzy irrelevant. Many are trained to worship hustle. Longer hours, faster pace, louder noise. Here is a quieter truth few say plainly. Enormous portions of effort evaporate because they aim at the wrong targets. People fight unnecessary skirmishes, tinker with problems that would decay on their own, and pour energy into gestures that do not advance the decisive objective. This isn't a sermon about laziness. It is a doctrine of lethality. Jung spoke of psychic energy as limited stock to be deployed, not spilled. Machiavelli described the patience of rulers who hold their fire until the hour arrives. Doing less yet doing it with devastating accuracy changes everything. Because the point is not activity, it is consequence. You are taught to glorify busyness, to display fatigue like a trophy, to weigh your worth by how many tasks you cram into a day. But the part no one outlines is that the majority of your doing is irrelevant or even harmful to your outcome. In the courts of Renaissance power, the players who endured weren't the ones swinging at every foe. They were the ones who sensed the rhythm of events, acting when tides were favorable and refraining when conditions were noisy or thin. They amassed strength, guarded attention, and refused to pour resources into spectacle. We have forgotten this intelligence. We treat every notification as urgent, accept every invitation as if absence were dangerous, and call it drive. That is not strategy. That is surrender of priorities. Jung warned that scattered attention drains the very current you need for decisive creation. The more you dilute focus, the weaker your strike. People who attempt everything become essential to no one. Perpetual availability lowers your symbolic price. Other people recruit you for filler, not for crucial judgment. The most effective performers choose with intention. They pick arenas and moments as if using a scalpel, not a shovel. It is better to take a clear risk at the right time than to tap dance constantly in a fog. The distinction is not action versus inaction. It is precision versus compulsion. One road ends in exhaustion and mediocrity, the other in mastery and durable influence. Think of the last time you tried to force an outcome before it was ripe. The hours drained away, and the result slumped. Now recall a move where conditions clicked. The smallest push created disproportionate effect. That wasn't luck. That was alignment with the current, not flailing against it. Timing is a skill you train, and restraint is the proof of training. Markets prize scarcity, not abundance. If you make your time endlessly accessible, you signal that it costs little. Cheap signals breed casual treatment. The executive answering messages at midnight may think they look committed. Instead, they brand their time as borderless, and borderless time is devalued. Keep people guessing. Do not publish your entire playbook. Predictability invites encroachment. When others can map your reflexes, they plan around you rather than with you. The cruel secret of modern work is that the busiest profiles often carry the least strategic weight. They mistake momentum for movement, occupation for accomplishment. Real productivity is not a swollen checklist. It is the handful of moves that change the board. Sometimes the highest yield action is stillness until the window opens. If this message aligns with your sense of power and performance, engage, share, and keep sharpening. Support helps us dive deeper into ideas that can transform your approach to success. Machiavelli did more than catalog political tricks. He named a principle of human conduct. Most people operate from reactive hunger, not composed awareness. They respond to whatever pounds the door, instead of designing the room and controlling entries. They sway to rhythms set by others instead of composing their own score. Jung later framed this split as ego versus self. The ego demands quick reassurance and constant display. The self perceives cycles, patterns, thresholds. When you lead from the self, you don't shove outcomes. You sense inflection points and step in when emergence is near. Our culture idolizes strain. We tie worth to struggle and baptize fatigue as virtue. That is a trap. Jung called it a martyr pattern, the unconscious belief that pain itself proves value. Machiavelli watched rulers burn their kingdoms chasing proof, throwing soldiers and gold at conflicts that meant nothing, while patient rivals stockpiled leverage for the decisive clash. Most opportunities don't chase you. They arrive at the doorstep you quietly built. If you are always in motion, you miss the faint indicators that timing is turning in your favor. It's like trying to surf while thrashing the water. You destroy the wave you need to ride. Traditions of contemplation emphasize stillness not because inertia is noble, but because clarity rises in quiet. Strategy requires observation before intervention. Perfect timing grows from patience. When you stay permanently busy, you operate at the surface of awareness, reacting to sparks and alarms instead of detecting the deeper tide. Individuation, the process of becoming the person you were designed to be, demands intervals that look inactive from the outside. Those spans aren't sloth. They are integration. The unconscious sorts, connects, and offers insights the conscious mind cannot manufacture under pressure. Many great leaders seem inactive yet radiate intense alertness. They move little while everything gravitates toward their intent. Our era penalizes strategic calm and celebrates visible strain. Institutions reward the appearance of effort, packed calendars, ping storms, frantic updates, while overlooking the slow thinking that saves years. This breeds a culture of exhausted average dressed as excellence. The cost is staggering. Breakthroughs die because their creators were too booked filling out status reports. Strategic openings vanish because decision-makers were trapped in tactical chores. Relationships wither because presence was traded for busyness. External activity often camouflages internal confusion. We run to mute uncertainty, to dodge the silent question. What if motion is masking misdirection? Machiavelli recognized that uncertainty is not the enemy of judgment. It is the raw material from which judgment is sculpted. Those who prosper stay calm amid ambiguity, watching until signal separates from noise. Rash action in a fog is not bravery. It is expensive luck-seeking. Wisdom is the courage to pause until aim is true. To claim this posture, you must change how you treat your own mind. Don't use activity to duct tape anxiety. Use awareness to convert anxiety into information. Don't stuff your schedule to feel important. Create empty space so insight can land. Don't prove your value through constant doing. Demonstrate value by the depth of attention and the accuracy of choices. This shift terrifies many because it threatens their identity. They fear discovering that years of effort powered a treadmill, not a journey. They worry that their loyalty to busyness hides a quieter cowardice, avoiding the hard work of facing themselves. The remedy is practical and learnable. Cultivate strategic patience. Resist cultural programming that equates motion with merit. Position yourself for those few breakthrough moves that repay long restraint. Moving from reactive doing to deliberate being means renegotiating time, effort, and success. Jung called it holding opposites, at once relaxed and alert, patient and poised. Begin with an honest audit. Compulsive activity is advanced self-sabotage. It buffers you from hard questions. Are you building the right thing? Are you moving toward a future you actually want? Or toward someone else's scoreboard? Machiavelli would pause the noise and assess the theater. Who are the actual players? What currents shape events beneath appearances? Where is leverage hiding while crowds stare at spectacle? You cannot see this while drowning in tasks. Jung described the difference as reactive living versus creative living. Reaction answers every knock. Creation chooses which doors to open. The next step is separating urgent from important with discipline. Most people never define the important, so they drown in urgency and live by other people's priorities. Be ruthless. Let urgent trivia decay. Feed the non-urgent strategic moves that compound. This is not procrastination. It is reverence for timing. A modest idea at the perfect hour can outperform a miracle launched in a dead tide. When you halt constant activity, you will meet what Jung called the shadow, the fears and needs you were muting with motion. Fear of being ordinary, fear of being left out, fear of being forgotten. Treat those fears as data, not dictators. Learn to hold discomfort without reflexive action. This is the core skill of strategy, to sit in uncertainty long enough for true contours to appear. You will feel the difference between artificial deadlines and living cycles. Practical methods help. Schedule weekly strategy hours where you think in long arcs, not today's fires. Maintain a kill list of tasks that look busy but buy nothing. Track outcomes, not hours. Try no response windows to train others to respect your cadence. Keep a timing diary to study when your moves land best. Run small probes instead of grand commitments. Low-risk trials that reveal the field without draining reserves. Guard your presence like a scarce asset. Say less. Deliver selectively. Stop broadcasting availability. Use mystery as a boundary, not a gimmick. When people cannot predict your every move, they treat your time with care and your decisions with weight. Pair that with an internal energy budget. Decide in advance how much attention you will invest in thinking, preparing, acting, and recovering. Do not spend clarity capital on arguments you cannot win or audiences you do not need. Adopt a 3-move plan for every initiative. Current step, contingent step if signal turns unfavorable, and leap step if signal turns strong. This keeps you patient without being passive, mobile without being manic. Before big plays, conduct a silent red team. List reasons your move might fail, design counters, and decide in advance what evidence will make you abort. This replaces anxiety with protocols and gives patience a backbone. Make peace with being underestimated. Strategic restraint is easy to mock because it refuses the theater of constant motion. Let others mistake your quiet for indifference. Results will explain your posture when the time comes. Collect small wins privately that build position, information, allies, dry powder, options. The appearance of speed later is built from invisible preparation now. Cultivate environments that reward thinking time, longer horizons, fewer interruptions, clear measures tied to impact. If your context punishes silence and glorifies noise, change your rules or change your arena. Protect deep work blocks like assets. Design your day so the most valuable decision happens when your mind is freshest, not when your inbox is loudest. Practice saying no without apology. Every yes is a withdrawal from your strategic account. Spend only on moves that compound. Remember that patience is not passivity. It is pressure stored. The spring looks still until it releases. Use waiting periods to sharpen models, expand pattern recognition, and refine entry criteria. Study cycles, economic, social, seasonal, personal, and note where your strengths intersect with rising waves. When conditions turn, step in decisively and accept visible risk. One crisp, well-timed move can override 100 scattered gestures. Keep post-action discipline too. After decisive strikes, return to quiet. Do not chase applause into overexposure. Ration appearances so your presence continues to signal value. Evaluate with brutal honesty. Did timing carry the day? Did you read the signal or project your hope? Adjust rules accordingly. Over time, you will feel the power of compounding restraint. Less noise, fewer errors, stronger outcomes, deeper peace. The longer you play this way, the more you will see how little frantic effort is necessary. You will also see how costly reactive habits really were. How many doors you pried open that would have swung wide if you had waited. How much energy turned into heat instead of light. Strategic patience changes your relationship to luck. You meet fortune halfway by placing yourself where opportunity must pass and by refusing to move until the angle is right. Others will continue to run, seeking validation through motion. You will continue to watch, align, and act. In a world obsessed with visible effort, the rare individual who can be still, see clearly, and strike cleanly will always feel almost unfairly powerful. That is not magic. It is discipline, awareness, and the courage to do less, until it is time to do what matters most. This is not withdrawal. It is incubation. Seeds sprout in darkness before they touch the sun, and breakthroughs often form during stretches that look quiet from the outside. Expect resistance from your habits and from the people who profit from them. Your conditioning will whisper that you're being careless, that momentum is virtue. Some will label your new selectivity as pride because your calm exposes their compulsion. They will tug you back into reflexive urgency since your patience threatens their need for noise. Machiavelli's lessons about power cut straight to this moment. When you reshape your rhythms, the surrounding order shifts. Those accustomed to your instant replies, endless availability, and willingness to carry chores they avoided will push back. They gained from your reactivity and will attempt, knowingly or not, to reinstall it. You will need what Jung called a strong ego, not bravado, but firm boundaries, self-ownership, and a commitment to development that does not bend under pressure or guilt. You must accept that disappointing some people is the cost of honoring your priorities. Let certain offers pass if they do not align with your strategy. This transformation is not only about subtracting tasks. It is about expanding presence, intention, and alignment with your real strength. When you stop bleeding energy into a swarm of minor obligations, you can concentrate on the few decisive moves that actually bend outcomes. That level of strategy demands real faith. Faith that doors open when you are positioned. Faith that the quality of attention outranks the volume of action. And faith that your worth is not measured by activity counts, but by consequential changes delivered at the right time. As Machiavelli might suggest, appearances are cheap signals. Very few know your reality. Mastering restraint releases you from performing productivity for an audience and directs you toward results that stand on their own, unmistakable, without applause, without theater. At first, the shift feels strange. Space appears in your day, and you may feel uneasy for not filling it. Guilt and anxiety bark because you are refusing the old drug of constant motion. Given a little time, that space becomes gold, room to breathe, think, and consolidate. Patterns reveal themselves. Familiar conversations circle without progress. Certain people reach out only when they need a quick fix. Many meetings collapse into what a clear email would have handled, and countless problems fade if you don't agitate them. This is not cynicism. It is clarity. Jung called this differentiation, the skill of recognizing what is yours to carry and what belongs to others, what deserves energy and what drains it without return. You stop treating other people's urgency as your private emergency. Real power is not micromanaging everything, but steering the few levers that matter at the correct moment. When you discard diffuse effort for concentrated influence, your trajectory changes. People will notice. Those who care about your growth will respect your boundaries and value the depth you bring when you engage. Others will bristle, argue, or accuse you of selfishness. Their agitation often reveals a hidden dependence. Your overfunctioning kept their underfunctioning comfortable. Let discomfort do its teaching. You are not responsible for maintaining someone else's avoidance of responsibility. Respect flows from selectivity. People-pleasing purchases approval at the price of authority. Within this new restraint, you discover latent capacities. When you are not reacting, you can respond with precision. When you are not always reachable, your time becomes scarce and therefore valuable. When you stop supplying instant opinions, people begin to seek your perspective. This is individuation, not the mask you thought you had to wear, but the person you are when centered, steady, and unwilling to trade strength for frantic performance. Soon, opportunity begins to behave differently around you. Instead of chasing every possibility, you develop presence that attracts the right ones. Instead of arguing for your worth by overexposure, your worth is implied through select engagement, high standards, and consistent delivery. Your sense of time transforms as well. Time stops feeling scarce because you no longer pour it into what does not matter. Presence reconnects you with intuitive timing, the quiet sense of when conditions are ripe so effort feels fluid, not forced. Machiavelli would call this virtue in the strategic sense, a cultivated excellence that reads the field, detects ripeness, and acts with crispness rather than panic. This quality surfaces when you quit jamming your own signal with ceaseless noise. By pruning, you channel growth. By narrowing focus, you raise value. By stepping out of reaction, you step into design. You stop playing only the pieces and begin shaping the board. Consider the synthesis. From Machiavelli, you learn that durable power comes from choosing the right action at the deciding hour, not from exhausting yourself across every skirmish. From Jung, you learn that psychic energy is finite. It must be guarded and directed with intention. Together, they reveal a sober conclusion. Winning by doing less is not laziness. It is intelligence, discernment, and courage to obey deeper principles instead of public pressure. If this resonates, support the work, like, subscribe, and share so others can escape the grind that devours their edge. Spread the message that worth is not the total of tasks completed, but the capacity to catalyze meaningful change when timing aligns. Free people from the myth that struggle alone earns success. Replace it with a discipline of positioning, pattern recognition, and decisive execution. Influence is the compound interest of attention wisely invested and fiercely protected. Carry a few anchors as you proceed. Act promptly on what is essential while others hesitate on trivia. Treat attention like capital and spend it only where returns compound. Accept that the most forceful move at times is stillness until signal crystallizes. In a culture infatuated with motion, strategic calm is radical and effective. Let results, not noise, speak for you. Guard your presence as if it were a scarce asset, because it is. Design days around high-leverage decisions, not constant replies. Use silence as a boundary. Run small probes to sense the field before committing fully. Prepare in obscurity so you can move decisively in daylight. May these ideas not only inform you, but also ignite and reshape your behavior. Return to them when the world tugs at your focus. Be patient, be alert, and choose your moment. When you strike, strike clean. When you wait, wait fully. Your stillness used wisely is a weapon.